And we got to keep it close to home here because our, or three of us, you see the Knicks on my wall, our Knickerbockers is going to be playing Saturday afternoon at 6 p.m. to kick off the series, the long series, potentially long series, or maybe short series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not to be so cavalier here, but let's talk about the Knicks here. Do the Knicks need to win this series against the Cavs to basically show that this season was a successful season? And Zay, the mic is yours.
To answer it straight out, no, they do not need to win this series in order to call this season a success. Everything that happened throughout the season calls the season a success. Where they wanted Grimes, they wanted Quickly, they wanted McBride, they wanted Obi, they wanted RJ. Grimes and Quickly are arguably being talked about one of the better guards in the NBA defensive wise, one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA. We're talking about Obi Toppin, who's played tremendous, who has positive upside throughout the game. Miles McBride, when Jalen Brunson was out, came in and was able to win some games. All the guys that were about to be traded were able to come together and win 47 games. The fact that they were able to win that many games with everyone joined together, with Brunson playing well, with Randall being out the last 2 weeks and still being able to muster up some wins, that success as it is. When you're talking about a trade happening and you're only 4 games ahead of the Knicks, and this is supposed to be a player that's supposed to impact winning, and if that was to happen, we wouldn't have won as many games because the fact we would have lost Quickly, we would have lost Grimes, we would have lost RJ Barrett, we would have lost all of our backup point guards and players essentially. So when Jalen Brunson come out the game, who the hell is coming to back him up? Because there would have been nobody. It would have been Donovan Mitchell playing 48 minutes and Brunson playing 45. There would have been nobody to back them up. So the fact that the Knicks were able to hold still, hold their ground, keep their assets, keep the young players, and they were able to develop in this magnitude to win 47 games and be one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. This season was a success as it was. Nobody anticipated in the NBA for the Knicks to win 47 games, let alone 42. People had them winning 38 to 37. They didn't even have having a winning record. So they surpassed expectations and became one of the better scoring teams in the NBA. They're, I believe, fourth or fifth in offensive rating in NBA history. Not just the season, NBA history, amongst the best to ever do it. So this is something that when we looked at this Knicks team, nobody anticipated them to be where they're at. Oh, also forgot to mention they actually shot an NBA franchise history high 47% from the field, something that clearly has not been done in their franchise history, and they accomplished that this year. This Knicks team is special. There's something dynamic. There's a different dynamic to them, and if they would have traded for Donovan Mitchell, we wouldn't have not seen 47 wins the way this Knicks team has. So for that, it is called a successful season.
I would love to jump in here real quickly here. No, we got to win this series in order for it to be called successful. Last time I checked, we made the playoffs a couple years ago, and we did not look good. We got bounced. We need to show and prove that playoff series, that playoff outing was a facade. We need to win a winnable series. The Cavs are not world beaters. We are 2-1 in the regular season against them. So clearly we can beat them. So clearly we need to beat them. It's very winnable. I can understand this matchup was 2-7, and we was going up against Boston. Then all right, I don't expect us to win, even though we beat them in the regular season because of Tatum's paralysis and Jaylen Brown and how that team is championship DNA tested. But over here, nah, we need to win this series. And I don't think we should just be content with making the playoffs as a 5 seed, right? As a 5 seed. Hello, we're not a playing team. So clearly we were amongst the 5 best teams in the Eastern Conference and knocked down the best team, arguably in the Celtics a couple times. We shouldn't just go to the playoffs just to sightsee. Oh, we in the playoffs. Hi, Spike Lee. Hi, James Dolan. Nah, we need to go out there and win it. And I think when you talk about Jalen Brunson, his evolution offensively has got me intrigued about this matchup. Can he plant his flag as being a superstar? I'm fascinated to see that. We saw what he did to Donovan Mitchell last year. I want to see that happen again. I know Mitchell going to bring his game, and you do that. Can you replicate what you did last year? And I love what he's been doing so far this year. How he has evolved his game from inside the arc to now shooting beyond the arc. Taking more threes, thus making more threes. And I think his evolution from the 3-point line has opened the offense a little bit more because we're going to need to make shots because of the Caps front court. where we're gonna have guys, slashing and attacking the basket. That's an interesting matchup. That's the X factor matchup. Our drivers against their front court, and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, I believe they have the best defensive rating when they're on the floor together in the league. We're going to have to make more shots. And Jalen Brunson, his evolution from the three-point line, and guys like Quentin Grimes, we are going to have to make more threes and make more shots. And I think we have the opportunity to do that. I think this Knicks team is more equipped to win a playoff series than the one that we had the last time we went there. So, no, I am not coming here. We are not coming here to sightsee like Dora the Explorer. We are coming here to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we better do so in order for this season to be a success.
So the reason why I don't think the Knicks need to win this series in order for this to be considered a success is because if you compare our feelings on the Knicks at the beginning of the season to what they are right now, that is dramatically different. And I think for the first time in a while in the regular season, the Knicks have made some real progress as a franchise. The move to bring in Jalen Brunson, taking him away from Dallas, is the biggest break the Knicks have gotten as a franchise, at least in our lifetimes, maybe more. Like that move single-handedly, I think, could change the trajectory of this franchise, taking him away from Dallas. We have a legitimate superstar. And I think for the future also, the Knicks, realistically, for the first time that I can remember, are actually next up for the superstar anywhere in the league that is unhappy, that wants to find a new destination. I think seeing Madison Square Garden and what it's going to look like for the playoffs could open a lot of players around the league's eyes who could be changing teams soon and say, shoot, they're building something over there in New York. Maybe I want to come and actually play there. And when we compare that and the vibe around the team now compared to what it was in the beginning of the season when the Knicks were fresh off one of the more disappointing seasons in franchise history, missing the playoffs, fresh off an appearance with Julius Randle. He was terrible. There were a lot of questions going into the season about the Knicks. Thibodeau, he made some big-time adjustments, taking Derrick Rose out of the rotation, taking Evan Fournier out of the rotation, giving a guy like Quickly, a guy like Grimes more of an opportunity. I think the Knicks are in a significantly better place right now compared to where they were at the beginning of the season. Now, I do think Will's argument, it's definitely valid. Like, if the Knicks get swept and get ran out the gym, like, yeah, I'm not going to be calling this season a success. But if the Knicks could be competitive, if they could at least take this series to 6 or 7 games and be right there at the end, I would feel pretty good about this franchise and where it stands going forward. I think back to what Zay said at the beginning of the show about Cleveland and there being pressure on them entering the series. Like, I think Cleveland is the team that should win, really, the team that most people are expecting to win. However, I do give the Knicks a legitimate shot, and I'm curious to see what the Julius Randle injury looks like and how that progresses throughout the series. But go ahead.
Yeah, I want to jump in here because I remember when Dino came on the show, and Dino, just like you, Zach, said that, Cleveland is going to beat the Knicks, and he said it confidently. Zay was like, oh, that's not happening. That's not happening. So clearly, Zay believes the Knicks will win the series. Concur, right? You believe the Knicks will win the series, right?
Yeah, I believe the Knicks will win the series.
And what? In what game? I mean, how many games?
I believe they're going to win in 6 in the Garden. I believe that they'll win in 6 games. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the Cavaliers are in their roster structure and how they traded for Donovan Mitchell, just like the Knicks. You said a playoff loss is not a successful season. You traded for Donovan Mitchell. So what was the expectation going into the season? Because they traded to get better, and they traded for Donovan Mitchell, a guy that everybody, majority of the league, said that Donovan Mitchell goes to the Knicks, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Oh, no,
what I heard was if we trade for Mitchell, we're not even a top 6 team in the East. That's what I heard. Maybe I was socializing with Knicks haters, but I heard that they were not calling us a top 5 seed with Donovan Mitchell. My thing here is
compare the situations. Like, the Cavaliers made the play-in tournament last year. Like, they have rising stars in Garland, in Mobley. Like, the Knicks roster was not at that point when if they would have made the move. So I think that's where a lot of it was coming from. And I think Cav fans would feel significantly worse if they lost this series than Knicks fans would, as much as it may sting.
Yeah, they got their expectations, right? They got Donovan Mitchell. We didn't get Donovan Mitchell. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have expectations either. We beat them in the regular season 2 times. They beat us 1 time. We showed that we can beat them. So we can't just go in there and be content with waving the white flag. No, we show that we can beat them. We need to beat them. And if we lose, let's say whether it's 6 and 7, then the talk of the town was going to be, what if we got Donovan Mitchell? Would that have been the difference of us winning a series? A lot of people talk about stars. It's a stars league, which it is. But I think what we've been doing and how we've been winning games with not stars, like, yeah, Jalen Brunson, you could argue is a star, but he wasn't selected to be an all-star this year, right? We are showing that we can win in other ways by a committee. And that narrative is going to get shot down once we lose to Donovan Mitchell. It's going to be like, oh, you need a star. And now we're going to come back in New York and be like, you need to get a star. You need to get Trae Young, who's unhappy. You need to get Luka Doncic, who the Mavs may trade, and we back to the bull crap. We have shown optimism that we can win without stars. Let's go and win this matchup. Let's go.
For me, I believe the Knicks will beat the Cavaliers. But also there's rumblings amongst the Eastern Conference that they want the Cavaliers to beat the Knicks because the Knicks are one of the scariest teams to face in a playoff series. They're a team that gets physical. They play in your face 48 minutes a game. And that's not just like me talking about it. You can hear Kendrick Perkins talking about it. You can hear Stephen A talking about it. Richard Jefferson. A lot of players in the Eastern Conference are fearful of playing against the Knicks because of how physical they are. It's a physical team. Now, I say all that to say, if the Cavaliers lose, I just want to ask a question real quick. Actually, I want to kind of section off real quick. If the Cavaliers lose this series, what's next for them? Who do they bring in? And that's a bigger question because you paid a top dollar for Donovan Mitchell, a scoring guard in which you didn't really necessarily need, but you wanted him because he was available. And of course, you go after the better guys who was available. But if they lose, who do you bring in? How do you restructure this team that you felt like once you added Donovan Mitchell, it puts you from a playing team to a top echelon playoff team to go further and beyond?
And I get that, but that's Cavalier talk. The question is basically solely about the Knicks. It's not about the Cavaliers and their expectations and what pressures they have. I could give a jack flying, you know what. I don't care. I'm not rocking with them. Yes, they got Donovan Mitchell. We didn't. Our expectations were going to be different because we don't have him. So, yes, we can ask the questions. You already hinted at it. You said that they have the most pressure. You already asked the question then, right? The question is about the Knicks. If we lose this series, is it a successful season? It's nothing to do with the Cavaliers. Yes, to them, if they lose, Cavaliers fans are going to go crazy. Yo, we traded all these assets for Donovan Mitchell. We get bounced by the Knicks. Of course, that's their prerogative. My prerogative is my New York Knickerbockers, and we shouldn't go there and be content with laying down. Why does the expectations have to be so low? Why does the bar have to be so low? Yes, the bar was low to start the year. I get that. The offseason, the bar was low. We was thinking playing. Let's get into the playing. We got to the 5 seed. Cool. But things have shifted. We have all the time in the world to embrace a new reality for ourselves, which is, we can win a playoff series. Yes, we wasn't saying that before, but we are saying that now. We need to do it now. And that's why I'm answering the question like that.
I feel like to say need is a very difficult word to use because in the Knicks history, we don't make playoff games. The last 20 years, I can count on my hands how many playoff series we played. So the fact that we got to say need is tough. We got to take it one game at a time because the Knicks team, we are Knicks fans, especially me, I get ahead of myself. I thought we were going to beat the Hawks that year and when we played against them. They beat us in 5 and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I didn't anticipate the Hawks even going that far. I didn't think they were even beat us.
That was a winnable series.
And that was a winnable series.
We got bombarded in there.
It's about going it game by game with this New York Knicks team. Personally, I feel like the Knicks, when you match them up in a 7-game series against the Cavaliers, we can beat them in a 7-game series because we have everything that the Cavaliers don't. We have the grit, we have the grind, we have the physicality.
That's my point.
We take that away from them, but to say they need to defeat them in order to call this season a success, I think that's not fair because I feel like this season was successful because they showed different strides from their other young players that they were questioning. They were questioning Quentin Grimes. Was he the right player to fit? They was questioning Emmanuel quickly. Could he start in this league? Could he be a point guard in this league? Can he be a player that comes off the bench and does what he needs to do? Is Obi Toppin, what's his structure like? Isaiah Hartenstein, what is he going to do? There was more questions about this New York Knicks team. And especially most importantly,
there's still questions. You know that, right? Like, I don't mean to cut you off here, and I actually got a take question. So at the end of my take, I got a question directed to both of y'all. So, yes, we answered a lot of the questions so far, and that's a positive. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But all the boxes are not checked. We are still trying to figure out if RJ Barrett can be a star. That's not checked yet. is Julius Randle going to have a better playoff outing than he did the last time? That box is not checked yet. We have yet to be determined. So we still have questions that need to be answered. We haven't checked all the boxes yet. I still want to see what Julius Randle's looking like coming back in the playoffs again. So my question at the end of this take is, where do y'all think Julius Randle ranks as far as pressure based on how he looked the last time? And now that we have Jalen Brunson to help him out, don't you think there's pressure on his behalf to kind of show that, all right, that playoffs was a fluke. I am the truth.
I can go. You go, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, like I'm just wondering if he's gonna play. Like, and that's one of my biggest storylines going into this series. Like, I don't expect him to be back until like Game 3, Game 4 at the earliest. And I know there are a ton of Knicks fans out there that think maybe they're a better team without Randle on the floor, as crazy as that might sound. And I do also think, I'll say this, like, his performance against the Hawks 2 years ago was unacceptable. It was a complete no-show. And I understand why there are some Knicks people that in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, like, he might be a little bit hard to trust. But I'll say this. Here's what I think is going to happen, right? I think the Cavs are going to win this series in 7 games. I think it's going to be a hard-fought, back and forth, close game after close game, like, down the stretch. It's really going to come down to a couple plays here and there. And I think at the end of the day, Cleveland, they're just the better team right now. They made the play-in tournament last year. They have some experience. Like, I'm going to pick the Cavs to win this series in 7. But I do think for the first time in a really long time, my thoughts on the Knicks, no matter what happens in the series, assuming they don't get ran off the floor in 4 or 5 games, that would be very disappointing. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this team is significantly better than the team 2 years ago, like you guys said, that made the playoffs and disappointed against the Hawks. But I think the Knicks lose
significantly better and same result, kind of, right? First round exit. I don't take no positives in that. Like, yes, I agree. We all significantly
But here's the thing,
better.
though. Here's what I'll say.
But
for the first time in a while, though, I'll feel very positive and hopeful about the future of the franchise going into next season. I think no matter what happens in this series, Knicks fans are going to be entering the offseason, rightfully so, thinking, man, like, we're in a really good spot. We actually are making progress as a franchise. Like, as great as this season has been, I think it's important to remember how recently we were talking and how, like, Will, do we remember how terrible we were all feeling after Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cavs, thinking this was going to be the end of the road for the Knicks? And if Mitchell gets traded to the Knicks, is Jalen Brunson, is he in a Knicks uniform? Like, I think we have to remember just how down the Knicks franchise was going into this season.
And I see the point. It's valid. But it's like telling a rich man who's trying to make more money, you remember when you was broke? Be content with being rich. No, I want to be richer. I want to be on Jay-Z status. I want to be a billionaire. When you are in a different stratosphere in your life, or a team is in a different stratosphere with newfounded expectations, you're looking to accomplish those goals. You're not thinking about the goal that you wasn't thinking about back then. You accomplished that goal. Now it's the next goal. It's not to take a step back. It's to take a step forward. We are not the Mavericks. We are not tanking. We don't even own our pick anymore. Okay? Because they tanked it out. They stole that pick from us. So we got to be content with running it back with the roster we have. So why not win a series and feel more optimistic that we can contend in future years in the Eastern Conference? So that's my point. Yes, it's new expectations now. Yes, we accomplished what we didn't think we was going to accomplish already. Fine. But I'm trying to win a series. I don't know about y'all, but I am not coming back on this show on Monday and, well, not Monday, obviously, but after Game 7 and feeling good about that if we lose. Like, oh, yeah, we lost Game 7, but, yo, we still out here, New York Knicks all day. No, I'm going to be really angry.
So,
I don't know about y'all.
I mean, for me, like, it's either a success or a failure, and I don't think it's a failure. So, like, I think it would be a successful season.
Real quick, I want to answer Lil's question real quick regarding Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle actually has less pressure than he had in that Atlanta Hawks series in this series, because he has a point guard who's going to be handling the ball, facilitating, and doing everything that needs to be done. If we remember back in that series, Julius Randle was doing the playmaking. He was the scorer. He was doing everything on that, the main rebounder. There was so much happening in that series where he had to take reins of it all because of Nerlens Noel not being capable of playing a full game. Mitchell Robinson not even playing because he was hurt. Todd Gibson being the backup power forward. Obi Toppin not really playing much minutes. Emmanuel Quickly, they're all young So they got the experience. They bolstered up, and I think
And that's a
they'll be- I
reasonable
believe-
cause, though. Like, exactly. Everything you said was factual. There's a reasonable cause for him to perform better this go time around.
Oh no, but I don't think there's pressure on him this go around because he has less to do.
Maybe not.
His primary
All right,
function
maybe
is to
not
score the
pressure.
basketball.
Maybe not game pressure, but it's more reasonable cause for him to show out. And if he doesn't show out with how well constructed this team is compared to that team, then we're going to come out and give him some flack if he doesn't show up.
I feel like he has less decisions to make on the basketball court now more than ever, so it's less pressure. If he's going out there, yo, Julius, we need you to score. He's okay with scoring the basketball. He ain't even worried about.
But I just agreed to that. It's not. I agree that I misspoke. It's not. He doesn't have that much pressure. But I'm saying because we have the point guard that can help open up the floor for him to operate, it's more reasonable cause to see a better outing than we saw the last time when we didn't have those guys.
I absolutely expect a better outing from Julius Randle. Don't get me wrong. If he has a horrible series, I'll be the first one. Yo, that's hard. You need to get him off the team because that's not even a fluke no more. That's just you're not good when the lights is brightest. But I say this because we all talked about how much better this team is. Quentin Grimes is light years above Reggie Bullock and Evan Fournier. Emmanuel Quickly is a better version than himself 2 years ago. RJ Barrett has shown his ability to score inside the paint better than he's had his entire career this season. He's been showing his ability to score in the paint, one-on-one matchups and everything. I say all that to say the space of the floor is bigger now because they can't guard Jalen Brunson one-on-one because nobody could really defend him on a one-on-one basis. They can't guard Julius Randle one-on-one. He's too physical. He's going to push everyone out the way. Mitchell Robinson is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the league leader of offensive rebounds. So you can't just double up on Randle in the paint and do it. So there's so many different factors that I believe the team will play better. Now, if they don't play good this series, if they're still causing the crazy turnovers, they're missing wide open shots, and they're doing a bunch of stupidness, then that's a whole different discussion we'll have after the series. But I believe Julius Randle going into this series is going to have a phenomenal series because it's better looks for him. He's going to have more open shots. He's going to be able to score easier with Jalen Brunson on the floor, Quentin Grimes at the corner of the wing, RJ being aggressive and going into the paint, Mitchell Robinson being in the paint wide open essentially for the alley-oop dunk. There's more opportunities, and I've seen this season. I can't speak for everyone, but I've seen this season Julius Randle has been more reluctant to trust his teammates than he's had in the past. Before, he's kicking a ball out for you to shoot it right away. This year, we've seen him dish it off to Mitchell Robinson. We've seen him hand it off to Quentin Grimes to do what he does.
I'm expecting us to win this series. You say all the points you're making is actually helping me out. It's making me more confident. I'm hearing you talk, and I'm over here. It's like you MLK, and you preaching me a good society, bro. Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead, Zay. Talk, speak. Yes. That's exactly why I'm expecting to win this series.
47 games. That was a successful season. We didn't think playoffs before the season. So we didn't.
Guess what? We in the playoffs. We in the playoffs right now. So we should be thinking playoffs because we gonna be there.
The real question is, what is deemed successful in the playoffs? Because the season ended and we basically exceeded all expectations. All of our expectations basically came true. We have two players that before the season we didn't consider star players. Now they're about to be all NBA players. We got a possible 6th man of the year. We have a possible top defender in the league in Quentin Grimes. We have a top shooter in the league possibly in Quentin Grimes. There's a lot of things that happened this season that we did not anticipate before the season, and we have to deem that successful.
And I'll add to that. When was the last time you guys felt that the Knicks were this close to a championship? Because I'm starting to think if the Knicks could just add one more significant superstar to the pieces that they have right now, no matter what happens in this series against the Cavs, if the Knicks add Luka Doncic or Trae Young, I'm confident that they will be in the best position to win a championship since we've been following this team on this earth. And that wouldn't be the case if this season was another failure and it didn't happen. I think that no matter what happens in the Cavs series, the Knicks will go into this offseason feeling that they're as close to a championship as they've been in a really long time.
I'm going to end this here. I want to win the daggone series. Okay. And I'm pretty sure Knicks fans do. Tell that to Spike Lee. Go. Let's run this show. Somebody get this show to Spike Lee. I'm pretty sure he will agree with me. Okay. All them times he been watching the Knicks courtside, paying his money. Yeah. He going to want to see us win.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.